We are live, my friend. It is so good to be back here on the It's Time to Lead Different podcast with the remarkable Collin Dayley, who's been holding the fort. Holding the fort might be an insult. You've been running the fort, leading the fort in my absence over the past couple of weeks, mate. So very excited to have been able to watch while I was traveling across the country and in other parts of the world while you were helping people to lead differently, mate. So thank you for sharing your wisdom, your daily wisdom with everybody. It's been fantastic, mate, to watch and listen and learn from you. So but I'm also excited to be back to bounce ideas off of you. So it's good to be back.
Yeah, my pleasure, and welcome back. And super excited to wrap up the year today and look forward to what we have coming up in 2025 and beyond. And thanks.
Yeah,
good to have you back.
Yeah, thank you. This is our last. It's Time to Lead Different for 2024. We will be back early in 2025 with it. And I guess it would be appropriate then to really let's talk about 2025, Collin, and what our insights. Insight is one of our core values here at Circle Leadership, of course, which is to anticipate and act in advance. So, what are your insights into 2025 and your daily wisdom that you would share with people about what 2025 is going to be? It's going to look like. You can reference us, like what's going to look like for us, what's going to look like for small business, small enterprises, leadership. Give us your wisdom in that space.
Well, thanks for teeing it up, and great question. I think my perspective and point of view is that 2025 is going to be a transition year. It's going to be, it's going to be a portal. It's going to be an opportunity year for businesses. Moves it back in the December 22, January 23. OpenAI dropped the Chat GPT on the world, and since then it's been just amazing sort of gains that have been happening with AI. And today we're actually talking about business strategy that's built around and built with AI, and which just 24 short months ago was not even a concept, right? So everything's been revolutionized. And the big question is, what's next, and where is it going to take us next? I know one of the topics that you've been really sort of fascinated with is quantum, and what and how that will change the way that we do business and the way that we interact with each other. So I think those are things that are going to come into more starker relief, and we're going to come face to face with, like, how do we create culture that embodies and embraces and really flows with and through technology as it advances. So that's for a high level. We can get into some specifics, but what do you think, Dave? Tell me what your thoughts are.
Well, as the blunt contrarian that I am, I think 2025, and this is what we've been sharing with all our clients, so happy to share it here, is this must be the year in which you set your organization up to be able to respond at worst, lead at best. Because by the end of 2025, when 2026 comes along, and once again, I'm just using these as calendar year timelines. It could be sooner, it could be a little bit later, but the concept remains the same. That once quantum computing comes into the back end, we've gone through the AI hype-ish sort of thing now. People are starting to realize they need to develop an AI strategy for their business. And so they're starting to think more strategically about it. So AI will become definitely mainstream, to your points earlier. But then behind that, quantum computing is going to come in and just everything's just going to accelerate. So when we start to think about that, in 2025, it's your year to get your business ready for whatever is going to come next. So you can, at the end of 2025, if you think you're going to be able to react to whatever's happening, I would feel very sad for you and your organization, because I don't think you're going to be able to react, because most organizations, aren't keeping up the rate of change today. The rate of change is only going to accelerate. Throw quantum computing in, AI as a strategy, all this sort of stuff. we're going to have this really exponential, what they call singularity or whatever. We're going to go like everything's just going to go straight up, right? So in 2025, you have to get your business ready to respond at worst, lead at best. At least if you're thinking and preparing and getting yourself ready for whatever might come, then you'll be able to respond to it. If you're leading it right now and you're leading with a strong AI strategy, you've got your team, you've got AI helping your humans to do the work that they must do. You've shifted the way that you lead because we can no longer lead organizations the way we've led in the past. Hence, it's time to lead different. And you've got all that sort of in play, and you're already leveraging all that, and you've set your organization up as an ecosystem, not an ecosystem. You don't just have an operating system for your business. You're not just focused on, profitability or numbers and all this stuff that we've been talking about. Then your business will be able to ride the wave. I was speaking to one of our clients yesterday about this, and I said, it's kind of like when disruption is now the new change, right? We've talked about this. Disruption is the new change, Collin, right? So waves of disruption come faster and faster, and it's just one big long wave, like it's just one big rush of water, right? That's going to come at us. When everything's urgent, nothing's urgent. So when everything's being disrupted, does disruption even exist anymore? When disruption waves are so close together, you can't even see a break between the waves anymore, right? So if that's the case, then evolution is the only thing that's left. That your evolution must be the natural state of your business.
Right.
And so if you're reacting and you're like, oh, look at that thing coming and I'm going to get on my surfboard, I'm going to paddle out to it, you're just going to get smashed by that wave. If you're already out there and going, okay, great, and start paddling, oh, look, I'm at the tail end of the wave, but at least I'm out there already, you're responding at worst. But if you're at the front and you're prepared for it, you are leading, you're riding that wave at the very beginning. Right?
Yeah.
And to me, that's what we've been sharing with all our clients, and I'd love to share with anybody here, that 2025 has to be your year of readiness, preparedness, whatever you want to call it, the year of the ability to respond, or better yet, lead in your industry. The way to lead in your industry is to start leading in your business. And you can't lead the way you've led in the past.
Right.
So that's my rant. I'll get off my soapbox for a second.
Well, so it's interesting you bring up the surfing metaphor. And you and I haven't talked about this before, but I find it fascinating, the people that are courageous enough or insane enough to do, big wave riding, like 20, 30, 40-foot waves. And, it does impress me that the way that they get ready to ride one of those waves is with a team. That it's not just them. You cannot just paddle out beyond the break in a 20-foot. You need literally assistance to pull you, and to push you out, beyond the break. And then actually you even need that assistance to get on the wave, right? Which is, really kind of interesting. So I guess, if we think about the metaphor going into this next year, even if you've tried everything seemingly, even if you've thought, you've got everything already lined up, you probably need a little bit more help and you're also going to need, to be patient because, nobody rides their first big wave. More than likely you're going to get pounded a couple of times before you figure out how to catch the wave and to ride it. And so it's just, the question is, I think, and I would love to get your thoughts on, like, how do we set up the experiments or the projects that will allow us, to get on the path of preparedness, and maybe to get out past the break just a little bit so that we can start, because, maybe we're not perfectly ready at the end of 2025, but I think your message is really prescient, which is you better start getting ready, or you better start moving in that direction, or else you're going to get crushed by the tidal wave. So what do you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's a great question. So I was on a podcast the other morning at 3 a.m. And every time I say that, it makes me think of the Matchbox 20 song. It's 3 a.m. and it must be lonely. Yeah, there I am sitting there on a podcast at 3 a.m. But the host, gracious host, it was great. But what he said was that, the organizations are going to take about 5 years to finally adopt AI as a proper strategy. And I'm like, dude, those organizations that are going to wait 5 years are not going to exist, I assure you, because if you just look at, what do you need to do to start getting ready? Well, you have to understand that as all the gurus have told us, that you won't lose your business to AI, but you'll lose it to another business using AI or a job to someone else using AI, right? So AI is going to help you stay competitive. So you have to find a strategy in order to, bring AI into your organization in a way that will free your humans up to do the work that humans must do. So step one, start to play with AI. And I'll talk about, things that you and I know are very important when you want to play with AI. You have to have, like when people trial things, they create what I call like a sandbox. So play in the sandbox, right? So what's the sandbox where you can play with AI so that you're not playing with AI in a dangerous way or outside of your frameworks of your organization, right? But you need to start playing with AI. You need to start developing a strategy. So you need to find a way to do it just to remain competitive. Right? It's fine and dandy. So number one, if you haven't already started adopting AI, do so, but find someone who can help you strategically with that. Our partners at Actualization AI are phenomenal for that. And that's why we refer them to all our clients, is because they can help you strategically map out how AI can serve your business and amplify your organization. Okay. Now, and so firstly, find a right strategic partner who can help you with that, because AI has to be a strategy. It can't be just let's throw some AI at the wall and see what sticks. Right. Let's play with some chatbots. Let's play with some things. Let's see. And then get your team educated on AI and help them to understand how AI is going to amplify their creativity, their curiosity, their imagination, their intuition, their empathy, because that's what AI is. It's an amplifier. If you have a crappy culture, it will amplify your crappy culture. If you have an amazing culture, it will amplify that. If you have creative, curious, imaginative, intuitive, empathetic human beings, it will amplify that. If you have unethical human beings, it will amplify that. Right? Yeah. So you need to get that in place. So number one is to do that. Then we have to look at this. The biggest challenge that come from that then is kind of like, okay, if we do that, then what does that create? Well, that creates all these humans going, well, what am I supposed to do now? Right? So the old adage of, hey, you're paid to work, not to think, Collin, has to shift to, hey, Collin, you're paid to think. And while you're here, if you have to do some work, that's okay. Okay? Because we need to then, how do we get our humans set up to start thinking again for themselves? Because all our organizations have been set up over the years to tell our people what to think. Job descriptions are designed to say, here's what to think, when to think it, how to think it, who to think it with, right? And we've set our organizations up by, here's what to think. But now we need to help our humans. If we want to get prepared and ready, we need to take this next 2025 to help our humans to understand how to think around here, not tell them what to think anymore. Right. And what are the four things we need to have in place, Collin, as you know, to give them a framework in which to think within? What do we need to have? What do we need to have very crystal clear in our organization? What are the four things that we must have? Purpose,
vision, values, and mission.
Mission, right? And I was explaining this to one of our other clients recently. It's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle, right? When you dump the jigsaw puzzle pieces, so if you want to prepare for 2025, here it is, dump the jigsaw puzzle pieces of your business onto the table. When you want to build a puzzle, what's the first thing that you're looking for?
Corners and the edges.
Corners. Yeah. So, we got to go, here's purpose, here's our values, here's our vision, here's our mission. We found the corners, then we fill the edges in, and we've created a framework. Now, what we're able to do is, as we start to look, preparing our team for 2025, we want to empower our teams to make smarter decisions, right? So we want them to think for themselves. Right. Yeah. And what's a decision, Collin? What, this, like what, this is stuff that we work with our clients. What is a decision?
To cut off from other options, right?
Yeah, is to cut off or cut out. And incision is to cut into. So decision is cut out or cut off. This is where a lot of people, and you and I see this all the time, right? Where people think, oh, they're trying to make a decision. They think it's about what they're saying yes to. But teaching your team over this next year and learning what to say no to, because everything inside the frame should be what they should be saying yes to. Right? Because then all the pieces of the puzzle, we get them to say yes to filling in the puzzle. Anything that doesn't, get on that puzzle page doesn't belong. We should be able to say, no, that does not serve our purpose. That rejects our values. That will not help us with our vision. That does not help us become who we need to become. So this year, teach your team what to say no to, because if you have your frameworks in place, they should already know what to say yes to, which is everything inside the framework. And then, because you have all these tools to help them, you have resources for your humans, not humans as a resource. Guess what we can do? We can get them to say yes to anything inside there. And all we have to do as coaches and our bosses is ask, is there a better yes? Yeah. So when you start to prepare leverage AI, free your humans up. Then give your humans the frameworks in which they can exercise the right to say no and be coached on a better yes.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Right.
we get them to start think for themselves, and we coach them by coaching the gap between the thinking they have and the thinking we'd like them to have in the organization.
Yeah.
And then give them AI as a tool to amplify that thinking,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then be prepared for when quantum computing comes in and it's just going to accelerate everything.
Right. Right.
So this
Yeah.
is what we have to set up.
Yeah. And what I hear you saying, Dave, and it's been my experience as well, is there is a, you mentioned a couple of times, getting the frameworks in place so that your people can actually, have the capacity, the rule sets, the systems in business lexicon, the systems to be able to make those decisions and make and to say no and yes to. However, that is not there. Actually, I've not met a business in the last 12 months that doesn't really need, especially now in the new world of the transformation that technology is providing, needs to and also the multi-generational components of the workforce. There's not one business that I've run into that I've talked to that couldn't use if at the very least tuning, at the very and most likely like a complete revamp of of their purpose, what it is, what problems they're passionate about solving and for whom, their vision, like what do they actually see, the transformation that they can bring into the world, and their values, right? How do they actually think? Those things are central. I think everybody's sort of focused on like survival and quarterly profit and retaining my team, retaining my best customers. And so we're looking at our feet when we should be looking at the horizon. And so that's my experience. And
I think you're bang on, and it's a brilliant observation, Colin. Like, because a lot of organizations have what they will say they have a mission and values and vision. Most people, as you and I know, confuse purpose and mission. They think their mission is their purpose when it's not. But they don't have things, because most of those things were created as branding exercises.
Right.
Because this is what we think that the market wants to hear from us, that we're this kind of organization, and rather than actually understanding that those are the tools of leadership. That to make those, to build that decision-making filter. Does it serve our purpose? Does it reject our values? Will it take us to our vision? Will it help us become the mission of our organization? And so definitely you should be reassessing that in your organization, especially if you haven't since the pandemic, because the world changed.
Yes.
The world changed, like, and whether you want to agree, like whatever reason, but it did. There was the, we've had the great resignation, or, which wasn't really a resignation. It was a great indignation. We've had enough of your crap. I don't want to be treated like this anymore. I call it a great indignation, where we've had enough of it. Right. We're indignant to the way that you treat us. Like it's, changing in generations, now AI and all this. So it's probably a good time to reassess that, or at least challenge and question, but then also start to understand how to lead, live, and love those things every single day in your organization, because these are the things that are going to attract the right talent and retain the best talent. Because also there's a war for talent. But what most people don't realize, that you and I see in most organizations, is that the war for talent starts inside your business, not outside your business. Right. And so if we don't, start taking these things and start reassessing, or at least challenging the stuff that we have, then, we are holding on to what we believe to be true, probably pre-2020. Now, things have changed a lot since 2020, but then things are about to change a lot more, as we've already shared, in 2025. So, but I would also encourage people not to use it as a branding exercise. Brand is how the market and consumer thinks and feels about your business, but that only comes from how people in your organization think and feel about your business. So the culture and brand relationship is something that is so powerful, but you've got to get your culture right, because when we speak that love to the market, that's how our brand is formed, and we get everyone to fall in love with why we do what we do. You can create a branding exercise and try to shove it into your business, because that's what the people want to hear from us. So start speaking like this, but people aren't connected to that.
No, that's what
I was speaking to Gavin about this, and he said, like, when he was working, he said, the one thing I've noticed in all my years of being in business is that not one business could tell me what their actual purpose was. Really clearly, succinctly, why does this business exist beyond making money?
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed that in many businesses?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Right. I mean, I don't think it's just business. I think, unfortunately, like people have a
Yeah.
real misunderstanding of what purpose means and how it how it can actually be a motivational, inspirational, and and catalyst to great change. So we sit around looking for a purpose outside of ourselves, when in
Yeah.
reality the purpose is inherent in our vision and in our passions. So yeah, I think yeah, it's not it's a pandemic of itself, right? That
Yeah.
our
The purpose pandemic. We should write a book called that, The Purpose
yeah,
Pandemic.
no,
Yeah.
seriously, right? And especially these days, because everything is moving now so quickly, and as you pointed out before, the disruption cycle is now becoming the normal cycle. I mean, it's just constant, continuous disruption. And so how do you create a competitive advantage? How do you actually show up and differentiate your business in the marketplace? If you create some great tech, you create a great product, weeks, if not months, if not weeks, you will be copied, and your competitive advantage is gone, right?
Yeah.
And pricing is we all know, competing on pricing is a race to the bottom. It's a race, to you want to talk about business suffering, right?
It's not a race you want to win.
No, right. I mean, it just creates suffering beyond, and ultimately the dissolution of your vision. Because anyway, so everybody knows this, right? Intuitively, yet we get trapped and caught in these cycles that that are so damaging. So the question is, okay, how do we become aware? How do we wake up as business leaders? How do we wake up from the stupor and from maybe the intoxication of the status quo that's for so long has been sort of nursed us along? What worked in 2020 and 2021 does not work today. I have clients. No. We have clients that they went through a boom and then a bust, and they're still trying to figure out, like, how do we, what business are we even in? So so I think it's central and crucial, in fact, for anybody who's leading a team, leading a company, starting a company even, to really get down to brass tacks and go in first and then out. So
brand, and that's because brand's an inside out proposition.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But everyone does outside and tries to shove it in, right? It's what you talked a lot about competitiveness, right? Which is really cool. And this is probably a good thought to leave everyone to think about for 2025 as we get close to the end of our time here, is that yes, AI is going to help you remain competitive. Yes, a technological advancement or a new product offering will give you a temporary competitive advantage. But to your point, once again, with your daily wisdom, that those things can be duplicated, replicated very quickly.
Yep.
Right. So if you get escape velocity, you can be number one in market. It's all fine. But that competitiveness will be eaten away. And you talked about what I call when you go from the only one who can do it to where everyone can do it, but better quality, more convenience. That's what commoditization, right? You become a commodity. And a commodity is when the market determines the price of your offering. Right. Right. And then you're on a price war, and that's a war nobody wants to win. So what is our one true sustainable competitive advantage that we can have in business?
That's right.
It's our ability to capture the spirit of our people. So yes, when you're leveraging your AI to retain your competitive nature, but if you want to excel or be able to compete at the highest level, or more so than any of your other organization, it's your leadership is going to determine your ability to capture the spirit of your people. And the organization that wins, even in an infinite game, is the one that outbehaves the other. And what drives behavior? How we think determines how we act. Not what we think, how we think determines how we act. So we can help our teams learn to think within those frameworks, capture the spirit of those people, give them a sense of purpose as to why they come to work beyond making a paycheck or beyond making the boss rich today. And they can get a sense of that purpose, and they can speak that with love and be empowered to make smarter decisions. You're going to capture the spirit of your people, and your team and your organization is going to outbehave your competitors.
Yep.
So you have all the software technology, sim products,
Yep.
offerings, everything like that, AI to remain competitive, it's going to be your ability to capture the spirit of your people, which will make the difference.
Yeah, and I just want to connect the dots. So
Yeah, please.
when you capture, and this is my experience over 3 decades in the in the marketing and advertising business. When you connect the dots, when you capture the spirit of your people, it becomes a magnetic force where you automatically capture the spirit of your customer. And if you can capture the spirit of your customer, you can harness that that concept called loyalty, which is really a more a really difficult concept to grasp. You can't engineer it. It has to be natural and organic. And where it comes from is that connection to a deeper sense of purpose and value and meaning. And that comes literally through every interaction that you have with your customer. And that every single time anybody communicates, or anytime your product communicates with or your service communicates with a customer, it's your culture that comes through. It's it's that inspiration, the spirit that you're harnessing, that then translates and then comes back to you in the form of profit and growth. So my premise here is leadership is not just about managing. It's not just about managing. No, it's not about meeting specifically about meeting specific goals, right? It's about creating an organization, creating a movement, creating a value magnet that is sustainable on its own. And so if you want an organization that grows naturally and ongoing and sustainably, you got to start with you as the leader. Then you got to build teams and culture, and then you got to take that culture and move into the market with that genuine connection. And when you do, magic. So that's my point of view.
Right. Thank you. That was brilliant. So if anyone was listening to this, if you just grab that last 2-minute piece from Collin, and what I would say, write that shit down, record that, rehearse that. Yes, that's the plan for 2025. On behalf of all of us here at Circle Leadership, you included, we'd love to thank everybody who's listened, participated, questioned, challenged so far over the past. We've only been running this for about 5 weeks or so now as a preparation for 2025. But we wish you all a safe and happy holiday season with your families and friends, and celebrate whatever it is. If not, just celebrate friendship and happiness and humanity in a world where it's being questioned right now, what it means to be human again. So go and celebrate and enjoy time being human with other people over the next few weeks. And we will be back probably the first Wednesday in January to go live with this Time to Lead Different. And the question we've left you with on this live stream is, what is 2025 going to be the year of for your business or organization? Start thinking about that now. Get ready, because it's the year to be prepared and ready for 2026. So you know how fast a year flies by. Anyway, mate, much love to everyone out there, and thank you again for sharing with us. Any last words, Collin, before we end this live stream?
Nope. Thanks. It's been a great year, and I'm really looking forward to a fascinating and growth-filled year in 2025.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. All the best, everyone.